What's up, bud? I'm just training some rotation. I heard that rotation is key to life and walking. Oh, hey there. Dr. Evanosar here. Hope you're having a great Tuesday. Hope your week has started out well. I'm just here with my buddy Bucky here. We're just talking about rotation and training rotation for improved balance, posture, and walking, because these three things are interrelated. We discussed this last week at the 8th annual and hopefully continued annual Functional Aging Summit. If you were there, thanks so much for coming out. Thanks so much there's so many great individuals there, and I can't name them all. Obviously, Dr. Dan and Cody, Dr. Dan Ritchie, Cody Sipes were there, hosts of the event and the Functional Aging Institute. So many great presenters. Our great friend we get to spend with Lindsay Vastola, our great friend and industry colleague, Jackie Bachmeyer and her team, Vicky and her son, Ben, as well as Paulo, so many other individuals. I can't name them all. Thank you so much for being there, for making a great weekend for us, for interacting, learning, sharing, and again, being live, because nothing is like a live experience. And if you were there, you know what that means. If you've been to live events, you know what it feels like. And I love the ability to communicate with you here virtually. So thank you for being part of our community. Thanks for allowing us to be part of your life. However, there's nothing like hugging people and being in contact with people and just supporting each other, like-minded individuals just like you guys there, that you're there to improve the lives of your clients and help them in their journey and be a force for good, for non-judgment, for helping them accomplish their goals so they can do the things and serve their communities the way they're meant to do. So thank you so much again for being there, for being part of our community, allowing us to share this information with you, and for helping us grow and learn and expand as well. One of our topics this past weekend, I shared a session with my good friend and colleague, actually Diane Bailey. I forgot to mention her, Diane Bailey. It was an amazing session. Diane, if you know Diane Bailey at all, she's created a program, Open the Door to Tai Chi, which is basically, the name describes it all. She wants to help more individuals discover the power of Tai Chi. And I've said this before, but it bears repeating. Diane reached out to me many years ago and she said, hey, you know what's interesting? As I watch your videos, the integrative movement system really relies upon some of those same principles that we learn and teach as part of Tai Chi. One, we talk about the foot tripod and connecting the foot to the ground, or the body to the ground. And she talks about rooting the floor into the ground. So basically, your foot is like roots on the ground, or creating that foundation. We talk about aligning and controlling the hip, knee, ankle, and foot complex, and moving the cylinder or the dantian in Tai Chi over top that lower extremity. One of the things as we look at posture, balance, and walking in the interlinking, if you actually look at the research, now you sort of have to extrapolate. I love that word, extrapolate. She always says, why are you using that word, extrapolate? You try to throw it in. I'm like, yeah, I want to bring back that word, extrapolate. So if you extrapolate the research, there's research studies out there that show that as we decrease height, as individuals decrease height, they looked at a group of individuals between the ages of, I believe it was 40 and 60, and their height over that time. And the individuals that lost 3 centimeters had lower longevity. So the people that maintained their height, the individuals that maintained their height, they had longevity. If you look at balance studies that basically show that people that have improved balance, they live longer. And if you look at people that have faster walking, not just walking more. So obviously walking more is beneficial if your client can do that. However, the individuals that walk faster walking is related to rotation. It's also related to the ability to maintain alignment and control, and the ability to balance, or that dynamic balance and dynamic postural control, to help our clients walk faster. So with that in mind, how do we best train it? There's many different approaches. One of the best things that we talked about for improving walking speed is getting stronger. If we can get our clients stronger, which you guys are best in the world at, our industry is best in the world at getting our clients stronger, we will help them walk faster. That's not enough. There's lots of strong people that walk real slow. So it's not just about walking, or I should say being stronger. One of the things they noticed in studies that looked at fallers versus non-fallers, that's how they categorize them in the research, is the people that tend to fall, mostly older individuals that tend to fall, they have less rotation, less ability to rotate their rib cage independent of their pelvis. One of the things that will help us or help our clients rotate their trunk and spine independent of their pelvis is the ability to actually align their trunk and spine and dissociate it or move one segment independent of the other segment. So again, when we think about a lot of our older clients, they walk more through the frontal plane. If you think about walking is more transverse plane motion. And if you watch many of our older clients, they tend to have this sort of weeble wobble walk. They don't have the ability to rotate. When your clients lose the ability to rotate, they will move through a different plane of motion. The frontal plane, they will make up for that very significantly. That causes more likelihood of them falling. That can also lead to more knee problems. Knee problems lead to slower walking. And we just see this sort of perpetuation of these components that you and I, again, we're best in the world at training this. Better alignment, better postural control. Postural control also comes from breathing. Janice did an entire packed session on breathing and the importance of breathing, not just for keeping us alive, obviously very important, but also very important in maintaining postural alignment and postural control. So let's move on to how can we best train rotation. So here's step number one. Number one is teach your client how to best align their thoraco-pelvic cylinder, rib cage over top the pelvis. So Bucky will help me out here. If you look at Bucky's rib cage over top the pelvis, align the cylinder. Now, obviously, it's not going to be like you and I. You and I can change our cylinder quite readily. So our older clients, they're a little bit fixated in this alignment. So two things that will help you improve thoraco-pelvic cylinder alignment. Number one, cue them appropriately. We don't want to take our clients and have them tell them to bring their chest up because they can't bring their chest up. They don't have enough range of motion to bring it up, and that's not why they're collapsed in the first place. And if you tell them bring your chest up, here's what they do. So it looks a little bit better. Nothing changed. All they did is sway the pelvis forward. Nothing changed through their cylinder. So what we want to do, the best cue we've found that works for the most amount of clients, biggest amount of clients or largest group of clients, is to cue them from the back of their EOP or the back of their head, that skull, that bone that right there, back there on the back of their skull. Cue them to be long through the back of the skull. So even your clients that are very kyphotic, very sway back, if you cue them, you will see them change their alignment. You'll see them elongate. You'll see their pelvis come back underneath their pelvis. Their pelvis come back underneath their rib cage where it should be. That cue is so powerful. And remember, it's not like we're not trying to take our clients from here to here. Not going to happen most of the time. I've seen some pretty incredible things in my lifetime as working as a chiropractor. But again, if we just move them in the right direction, that can make all the difference for many individuals. So cue them, long spine from the back of their head. Now, once they're there, now we have to train them to maintain it. Bucky, step up to the side here. One of the best patterns is there's many different ways to train this, but one of the best patterns or most consistent patterns we use is a modified hip hinge or a supported hip hinge. And from this position, we're cueing ourselves, again, that long spine, ribcage stacked above the pelvis to the best of our client's ability. I met a really nice woman, and I forget your name, who's part of our community. She's like, I always see you do this thing here, and you do this thing with your ribcage. You know, I'm a Feldenkrais, or I think it was Feldenkrais. No, it wasn't Feldenkrais. It was Alexander. She's like, I'm an Alexander technique, and we just cue our clients to be long. I'm like, absolutely. You don't need to have your client touch themselves and do all this crazy stuff that I do. It's just more as a reminder as to where you're trying to cue your clients from. So yeah, you want to have your clients visualize just being long through their spine, long through the rib cage, keep those ribs connected. Again, I pointed out the importance of the angle of the ribs. We don't want to bring the rib cage up this direction. We want to keep the ribs angled up and back. So think long from the back of the head, long from the back of the rib cage as well. Now, support. So suspension straps work great. If you don't have that, you could always use a band and do the exact same thing here with the band. We like suspension straps because I can keep the straps a little bit wider. There's no tension that makes the client want to push down. So here, very lightly engage the handles. You're going to breathe in, breathe out, and hinge. It seems kind of weird having him like that. Move him out of the way. So, long spine. Connect the handles, and then hinge. So again, you're maintaining the alignment using the hands will help feed in from the hands to the shoulder, to the scapular stabilizers, to the spine stabilizers as well. Scapular stabilizers double, or they also work as spinal extensors. Breathe in to come up, nice and long. breathe out, and hinge. So this is a great pattern for maintaining that alignment of the thoraco-pelvic cylinder, teaching the client how to dissociate the shoulder, move independently from the shoulder, as well as from the hip. Okay? Now, cool thing about these suspension handles is you can use it to start to train rotation. Remember that when we're walking, slower speeds, we're walking and we're sort of rotating towards the forward leg, then we rotate the cylinder away towards the opposite leg. With faster walking, then we start to dissociate. We start to rotate towards, and then the thorax starts rotating opposite of the pelvis. So we need to maintain alignment, however, counter-rotate the thorax and the upper spine from the lower spine and the hips. Very challenging for our older clients. So the step number one is not just rotate them, it's to teach them how to align so that you can get more optimal or pure rotation. We can use these handles, again, to train rotation. So we can start with the feet parallel and just push down lightly. Hinge, and now what I'll do is I'll reach one hand forward and reach the other hand back. And again, it's not a big rotation, just start to develop rotation through the movement of the limbs. And then come back, and then I'll rotate to the other direction. And again, it's not reaching as far as I can, it's just rotating and staying long on that axis, that imaginary axis through the top of my head and through my spine. It's a great way to start to teach your client how to create pure axial rotation. So rotation around that vertical axis through the top of the head, through the spine. Then you want to progress it to split stance because, again, we want to teach our client how to move towards that forward leg and then counter-rotate the thorax. But again, it's not a huge rotation. If you notice, I'm not trying to reach as far as I can, because then I'm just compensating. I'm just moving where my body's already hypermobile, and I'm compensating. So make it a very pure motion, and don't worry about how far you go with the motion. Again, training the pelvis and lower spine is staying relatively forward. The upper thorax and upper spine is starting to rotate away from, or I should say, counter-rotate away from the lower spine and the pelvis. And again, I'll switch sides so you can see the opposite direction. Again, the pelvis and lower spine stay facing forward, and then I can counter-rotate the upper spine. It's a very safe way to train rotation. It actually feeds right into what your client ultimately needs to do with the gait. Move the pelvis and lower spine towards this forward leg, and then counter-rotate the upper thorax away from that side to create that faster rotation, to wind up the myofascial chains, to use that potential and kinetic energy stored up in the system and make walking more efficient, faster, decrease the likelihood of falling, and increase longevity. And that's ultimately what we're here to do. That's why you do what you do. That's why you empower and work with the older population. And again, this works with your athletes as well. It's the same thing. It's actually the same exact thing that I teach my athletes that come in here as well. Professional golfers, same thing I'm teaching them as well. Align the cylinder, maintain that nice vertical axis, breathe to maintain the cylinder control, and then rotate on that vertical axis, like you have a line, that vertical axis coming from the top of your head down through your spine. And then you can build in more speed, more power, and all the things that we need to do to improve function. This is Dr. Evan Osar. I hope you enjoyed this session. I hope it reinforced some of the things that you already knew, maybe gave you a couple things to think about with your clients. Continue to do what you do. If you're looking for more resources, Jill and I, my fellow anatomy geek, not Bucky, but he's my fellow anatomy geek as well. We did an entire 3-part series on posture, balance, and walking. We look at the research, we look at the anatomy, so you understand how the body functions the way we know. We'll look at the eyes and the vestibular system and how to train that and incorporate some of that training into your programs as well. We'll look at the assessments. How do we look at walking? How do we look at rotation? How do we train the control, the balance, the somatosensory system of the foot on the ground? Then how do we incorporate this into faster walking? So we did a 3-part series. It's about 5 to 6 hours worth of content. There's CCs associated with it as well. So you can earn CCs as you learn information that applies to your clients. And again, will help you differentiate yourself from the rest of the industry, help you empower, educate, and empower more of your current clients, and attract more individuals that need, want, and will pay you for your expertise. And really, again, be that industry expert. Because again, you know there's a lot of noise in the industry. There's a lot of people doing fitness and all this crazy stuff, and it looks sexy and it looks cool and it looks fancy, and people are drawn towards it to a certain extent. However, our older clients, they're looking for someone just like you. They're looking for a professional. They're looking for somebody who can help them safely and successfully navigate their orthopedic issues, help them work towards accomplishing their goals And underneath many of their goals, maybe they want to go on a vacation, maybe they want to pick up their grandchildren, they want to live longer and more productive lives. This information can help you do that. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below, above, or wherever. Reach out to us at, I think it's support, support at Discover IMI, or leave them next to this video on Facebook Live, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks again for all you do. Thanks for being part of our community. If there's anything we can do to support you, let us know. Dr. Evan Nosart, Integrative Movement Insider. Make it a great day. Go out and empower your community. Take care.